Welcome back to Transfers Explained, everyone. Here with Ben. And actually, I think this is going to be a fun one because we're going to look at how the signings we've made, all 6 of them, have done in pre-season. Obviously, we talked about Max Dowman last week. We've now seen 5 pre-season games. I want to focus more on the signings themselves. But we've been distracted by Eberechi Eze, and this is a Transfers podcast, so we're going to chat about that, Tottenham's pursuit. And I'm actually wary to go into too much detail because I think this is a very quickly developing story. By the time this podcast's out, the situation might have changed. So we're going to talk about it very much through the possibility of him signing for Tottenham or signing for Arsenal and how we'd feel about either potential way that it goes. We'll also talk about what happens at left back with Zinchenko being linked and moves away. And yeah, obviously any real updates, I'll keep you up to date on Goonerverse News, by the way, which is, I think by the time this podcast is out, the Goonerverse 2 will have been rebranded to Goonerverse News. For anyone who's kind of wondering about that, essentially, this is going to be the place for collaborations, analysis, things like that will all be done here on the Goonerverse. Goonerverse News will just be reactions to news instantaneously from wherever I am. That will be every piece of news, not just sort of big news or additions to news. I'm going to do it all there, and that includes match reports too. So sorry for a little bit of housekeeping there, just so I'd let you all know as we go into it. Ben, welcome back, man. Should we start with the Eze stuff? It feels like that's what's kind of really bubbling away at the moment.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and I can tell that you're. It's deflating. We don't know where we are with this yet. But Tottenham are making pretty aggressive moves to try get Eze done. There's also conflicting reports about his release clause. No one seems to know when that expires. Now some people are saying that they've still got till Friday, but I thought that expired 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I thought it already did. Maybe that's why. If it, I don't know. I don't work at Palace or have any inside information or anything. But if it is still. If it hasn't expired, maybe that's why Tottenham are moving, because they think, well, if we can just pay that, then we can get him when Arsenal are dilly-dallying or whatever. I don't know about you, but like every time a player has chosen to go to them over us, I feel like it's always been because we've just not moved quick enough and we've not properly made a move. It's not because we've wanted them, we've gone all out for them, and they've said, no, I'm joining Tottenham. Like, I don't know, they wouldn't join Tottenham over us, like especially someone like Eze, who is literally a fan of Arsenal. And there's even, you could even argue there's more of a chance he would start for us than them, because they've just got Kudus. They're looking at, I don't know what's happened with that Savinho deal, but I know Maddison and Kulusevski are injured, but when they come back, he's going to have to compete with them as well. So, whereas we've got like two left wingers that are probably going to move on, or this summer or in the future, near future, and then through the middle, he could compete with Odegaard. So there's quite a clear pathway from there. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those where everyone said that it depends on us making sales, and we've not made the sales yet. From reports over the past week or so, Nelson's still, I think Fulham looking at him. Were Palace mentioned before? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then there's stuff about
Zinchenko with
Fenerbahce, that was it. Yeah. And then Trossard with Galatasaray as well. So if any of those happen, there should be a decent amount of funds and quite a lot of wages freed up. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, there's like potential of like Sambi as well. I think it was PAOK in Greece that were linked with him last week. So, there's definitely things happening, but it's just a bit slow at the moment, it seems.
Yeah, it is. My take on Eze is basically this. When we signed Madueke and Gyökeres, I thought, okay, I know Rodrigo's out there, and I think as Arsenal fans, we'd rightly be devastated if Isak went to Liverpool, Savinho went to Tottenham, Eze went to Tottenham, Rodrigo went to City. We'd go, hold on, all 4 of these would have been massive for us. Yeah. And to get none of them, I kind of chuck Kudus in there too. So I think that would have been really, I think that would be really disappointing for the way for the window to go. Yeah. But let's remain patient, and I will keep checking, X to see if anything changes. I don't think it's like, I don't know. I want to find the right word. I don't want to play down the Eze signing. I think if we sign Eze, it'd be huge for us. I really rate him. I'd be devastated if he went to Tottenham. But it's more the type of player I want than it being Eze specifically, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big Xavi Simons fan. I wouldn't have minded if we went for Gibbs White over Eze, but I think Eze's a better player. Let me be very clear about that. It's more the type of player I really want. And if Arsenal don't go for Eze because they're going for Simons, I think it's pronounced, then, I can live with that. But what worries me is that Arsenal do this so often. They do actually, we're having a big window. We're, Calafiori and Mourinho going, great, just add that forward. And it ends up being Sterling. And even the years that we got Havertz, Rice, Timber, Raya, I was going, great, just add that one winger. And we never did it. And for me, there's just always this 90% thing. We go so far, but we never quite do. And it is always that bit that we don't quite do that feels like the glaring hole in our team for the next 10 months. So I can't see us lose out on Eze, not pick anyone up, and then watch Ødegaard struggle for form again, and Waneri not really be given the minutes because he's only 18, and the horseshoe football return. That will just drive me crazy. So again, Arsenal have missed out on players like James Maddison. You mentioned is a great option. We were actually looking at him around the time we were looking at Ødegaard supposedly. And I think we did the right thing getting Ødegaard. But I remember when Maddison went to Tottenham, we were all going, why didn't we get him? He could have been our left eight. We went for Havertz instead. Maddison is cooking. But within 4 months, it kind of dried off for James Maddison. And he looked a frustrating player. And you could say that Arteta and the scouts saw through that. They saw through the patches and went, actually, long term, he's not what we need. So that's fine. I can live with Arsenal not getting a particular player and trusting their judgment when we're talking about a specific individual, but not when we're talking about a profile in the team. For a profile and holding the squad to not be addressed would be really disappointing. And that's ultimately, I waffled on for 3 minutes there, but that is ultimately how I feel about the whole situation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Smith Rowe essentially was the profile, but we needed a upgraded version of it because it wasn't available and form inconsistent, all of that. And there's a few that I liked for it. Last summer, I liked Doué as an option. He was the number one for me. Obviously, PSG went and got him, but back then it was also Simons, Eze, and Gibbs White. Those were solid options. I think Rodgers is someone who's another one like that, who's kind of like a 10/winger who could play a bit of both. Could play maybe on the right side even. In a worst case scenario, could play as a false 9. But he's one who's like a lot on the higher side in terms of his price, so probably rules him out. But I completely agree. It's just kind of like we needed that profile. We sold it in Smith Rowe. Fine, I understand that. But replace it and don't wait a whole year, 2 years to replace it. We take too long to address issues sometimes. And this window started so well that made me feel like we were going to actually address these things. So hopefully we still do. Obviously Bert is new, so we should operate in a new way. But yeah.
Well, let me stress as well for anyone who just heard that little segment from me. I rate Eze massively. This is not me sort of, protecting myself because he might go to Tottenham. And I don't know. I rate him hugely. I'll be so disappointed if he goes to Spurs. I just want to make my point very, very clear on what I think this squad needs more than profile over player. And of course, you want the best in class in that. But I think Arsenal need to address it in some capacity. And I do think you've mentioned Rodgers, there's Simons there. There are actually 2-3 players in that mould who can have a real impact. And that's only different. Rodgers is slightly different to Eze too. Simons is slightly different to, and they've all got qualities, but we need some kind of right-footed creator that can do it from wide areas too. So I really hope Arsenal do something. And Eze's my number one, and actually by far and away my number one. But it's not, I'm not throwing my toys out the pram. If Tottenham get Eze, I'll throw it if we don't do what we have to do. That's where I really am with Arsenal. What was the other thing I wanted to say? It's kind of slipped my mind now, but yeah, we will see. Like I said, I'll react to everything on Goonerverse News. I think this really hangs in the balance, to be honest. I think Arsenal have been trying to play a bit of a waiting game, saying, "Look, we will come. You be patient. We are just sorting some other stuff." But it might force Arsenal's hand a little bit. So,
Yeah.
ultimately, let's see. The other thing I wanted to go into was, and we'll talk about sort of recruitment in other areas, I think, towards the end of the podcast. I wanted to just chat about how you felt about pre-season and the new signings. I think if we'd done this podcast post Villarreal, maybe some different reviews. Post Villarreal, that's right. But post Bilbao, a lot more encouragement in the football we've played. Really liking the ideas a lot more. This is why I was keen not to say too much post Villarreal, because you never know what another 90 minutes can do. But I thought the ideas were a lot better, and some players have looked really good. Who in particular out of the new signings has impressed you this summer?
New signings in terms of like not seeing them put a foot wrong once is Zubimendi and Mosquera for me. Like both of them look ridiculous. Like the others, they've had so many little moments. I've just not seen as much. Obviously, we've not seen as much of Gyökeres. He came in later. Madueke as well came in later. With Gyökeres, he didn't play as much in one of the games, and then, but there's been bright moments of all of them, and Norgard as well, obviously. But yeah, Zubimendi, oh my. Like he looks like he's going to be a real difference maker for us. Like there's a lot of the positives of people said he's like Jorginho. He's got a lot of the positives, but with a lot more to him as well. Like he's more physically robust, better at defending, better at defending the box in front of the box. Better ball carrier, a bit more mobile, and he's just got that perfect weight of pass time and time again, and that ability to not just break the lines, but find the right time to break the lines, and really calculated about his decision making. I think him next to Rice, they complement each other so well. And a lot of the time, people have complained about certain aspects of Rice, and then people have said with Zubimendi, there's areas where he's got deficiencies, but they have the perfect opposite for it to work really well, and that's exactly what you need. And I think part of the reason we haven't looked as good in previous games is when you're playing one of them or other players that don't complement each other well, you start to see those deficiencies more. So, for example, like a Norgard type, I think with Norgard, you'll need Odegaard there. You need someone who's going to be able to be the one who can drop deep and control the play, and then someone else who can be higher up as a more of a final third creator. So, but we were playing Norgard with Waneri as that, and he's more wants to be the final third guy. So, but I do really like Zubimendi, and then Mosquera as well. Physically looks a joke. Like on the ball, both feet. He just
class.
looks like and even he played right back as well. He looked good at right back, and I'm just thinking this guy can fill in everywhere for us and be solid. Kind of like what you got with like Tomiyasu, who just come in and just be quality no matter where you play him, but actually available, So yeah, I'm really excited about them too. But obviously as well with Gyökeres and Madueke, we've seen parts as well that were really exciting in the last game. So I think they're gonna help us really attack with a lot more pace and directness that we didn't have before. So I'm really excited about them as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think, if we go through the players individually, maybe give them some ratings. I think Kepa, 7 out of 10. He had a good penalty shootout out in Singapore. Can't really think of any mistakes. Yeah, he's a backup goalkeeper, and you can tell that he's going to be a dependable one. Would you agree with a 7 for him for his preseason?
Yeah,
maybe?
pretty good. Like I said, he was good in all the penalty shootouts. Didn't have a lot to do during the games, to be honest, a lot of the time. But yeah, is a backup for 5 mil, looks half decent. as long as we're not like we don't. He's not the type that if Raya got injured and then he has to come in, I wouldn't be confident then. But if you're playing him Carabao, FA Cup, like smaller games, like
I'd be
he's
confident for a couple games. I'd be confident
yeah,
if you had
yeah,
to play a
yeah,
month of football. I wouldn't mind, but
yeah.
if Raya's out for, if he's got like a serious injury that rules him out for the season, I'm thinking we need to dip into the market personally.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, those type of things don't happen often with keepers. But he's great as a backup. 7 out
Yeah.
of 10, definitely.
Mosquera, you mentioned him there, and yeah, I'll tell you what. When we did the breakdown on him, we talked about him being more a Gabriel than a Saliba, but he's got some Saliba-isms. I don't know. I don't know how to explain.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. There's definitely a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think he's got like that calm. He's got more calmness. If you think of Gabriel when he was young, he would be a bit too quick on the ball and rush and make mistakes. He's not really got that. So he's definitely a little bit more Saliba in that aspect. But yeah, I just meant more in terms of his defending style being a bit more aggressive. But I completely agree. He's got that on the ball as well.
Oh no,
So
you're right. I think when I watch him, he does look more Gabriel, but there's just little moments on the ball, and I saw it in Hong Kong against Tottenham. I thought he looks very comfy, and Gabriel, I think, that side of his game has really developed. Because I mean, that pinged ball over the top to Trossard is like Gabriel's signature pass. But I think in terms of like, Mosquera's got this ability to kind of put his foot on the ball and roll it a little bit before he picks out a pass. He looks quite neat and quite classy with it. I'm very excited about that signing. I think I want to give Arsenal credit for doing the deals that I thought they needed to do. A few of us thought they needed to do, but we never had them as a priority. And that is things like, Norgard at 11 million, Mosquera at 13 to 15 million. You kind of think, yeah, well, we didn't have to. I think if we didn't do Mosquera and we went in with Tomiyasu for another year, kept Kvyat Zinchenko, I don't think anyone would have really said anything. But I think it's because Arsenal just recognised the situation, saw an opportunity in Mosquera, and have upgraded in their backups to Saliba. And I think that's really smart. And I don't think it's something we should kind of look over too easily. So fair play. I'm really glad he's in as well. Norgard really impressed me against Villarreal. It's a shame we didn't see him at all against Bilbao, but I thought he was very good against Villarreal. I didn't quite see, a lot of people gave him praise out on tour. I didn't quite see his brilliance on tour. I saw it more against Villarreal, but I might be missing something. But I think he's going to be a really sensible signing. At 11 million, I think he's going to do a real job this season.
Yeah, so quite similar in a way with Kepa, where you'd be fine if he was playing for like a month or so. If he had to play for a big chunk of the season, I'd be slightly worried. But at the same time, he's a solid Premier League level player and a good squad player for us that I think he offers a lot off the ball. Physically, he's top aerially as well, even as a threat in the other box. But then on the ball, I think he's a little safe at times, which is where
I agree.
You get a big drop off from Zubimendi to him on the ball. But he's still, he still has his moments where he can progress the ball and be the deep playmaker. But he's not like when we had Jorginho as your backup, where he's going to come on and he's going to be similar-ish, where he's still going to play those passes. But yeah, I think it is fine if you play him with the right other players around him. Like I said, if you play him with Odegaard, like that would work really well. But yeah, I really like the signing as a cheap but safe option. That he's just going to be a good squad player and help us for now. My only argument with these types of deals is I prefer a Mosquera to a Norgard, who at the bare minimum, even if he's okay for us, his value will shoot up and you can sell him for a profit to fund someone else. At the bare minimum, that could happen, because him being so young and showing so much potential, if he proves it in the Premier League, you're talking like you could sell him for like 40 mil when you bought him for 13 or whatever it was. Whereas with Norgard, at his age, the price is only going to go down realistically.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I like the signing, and I think as a player, he's like 6 or 7 out of 10 every week. He won't have like a big stinker, but he's not going to like move mountains or anything.
We got some good deals out of Brentford, I have to say. Like 11 million for Norgard, I would have thought he'd be 20. 2 years ago, we got Raya on loan, only to sign him the following summer for 30 million. Again, I think they could have demanded 50 for him. When you look at what they've got out of Man United from Burmo, fair play. We've clearly worked those deals quite well. So fair play to everyone involved. On Zubimendi, because it follows on from the Norgard stuff. We said this in our breakdown of Zubi. He will hold on to the ball till the pass opens up. And I love that. His timing, his weight of pass, his time of when to release it, and his ability to make angles for himself is phenomenal. I really thought that came through in the Bilbao game. There was one moment where he got the ball, I think, in between the centre-backs, and he was being pressed, and suddenly he just pinged on with his left foot into maybe Declan Rice, I think it was. I thought, how did you spot that? Maybe it was Lewis Skelly, I can't remember. No, Calafiore, someone. Anyway. And I think Norgard plays the game. Let me not sound too tactical about it, and you can tell me if I'm talking shit. I think Norgard receives the ball and is looking up to see who's moved for him. Or I think Zubimendi receives the ball, knowing what he wants to do, and if he can't do it, he's working the angle to find what he wants to do. I think he's a little bit more able to react to what's in front of him and manipulate the game. I mean, the areas he was popping up a right centre-back in between Saliba and Gabriel. At one point, he drifted off to the right wing to play a ball into Saka with an underlapping run. I think we nearly scored from that. You know, he just goes and floats where he feels he can have a bigger impact on the game. And I didn't see that from our sixes last year. I didn't see... They were almost quite static, almost like I will be kind of always in the middle, ready to move and dictate. But Zubimendi's happy to move around to impact the game. And that's been my biggest takeaway. I've loved him since his first game against AC Milan. I thought he looked really good in that game. And I was surprised he didn't get more credit for that performance. And I think he's got better as pre-season's gone on. I think he's a real star in the making, Zubimendi. Well, probably is already.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's funny, like, there were all the big teams... Literally all the big teams wanted him, but yet everyone seemed to doubt him somehow. And I was like, I kept saying, you have to look at how he plays for Spain more than how he plays for Villarreal. So you just said them, so it's on my mind.
Yeah.
Real Sociedad. And it suits him way more as a six in that type of system. And yeah, you just see a lot of his intelligence in terms of movement, but also your point of, he knows what he's going to do ahead of time. So he's constantly scanning before he even gets the ball. He knows where all the space is. So when you get the ball, you're not looking up to then decide what to do. So it makes your decision making way quicker. But the thing I really like with him is it's the intelligence of how quickly he can adjust to, like what you're saying about the timing of making the right pass. If it's not there, as things are moving around, he sees it just a millisecond quicker than everyone else to make the right pass at the right time. And I think he's one of those who just knits everything together really well. And we've just missed that. Because like you said, anyone who was there before, Jorginho, Partey, whoever, when they would play there, they're more in the middle, wanting to play through or over every time. And that's great, but you're going to lose the ball a lot. And also the timing of it gets quite predictable. Even if the quality of what they're doing is of a high level, it's pretty more predictable. If you've got someone who he's going to drop into centre-back, even you see him at Sociedad, he would do it all the time. He'd always drop into like left centre-back. So he gets that extra bit of space to allow one of the other players to move forward.
Yeah.
And the other midfielders can push higher as well, and they can find space in the pockets. You kind of like, you're dragging a player with you as well. So then that creates space somewhere else. So it's really intelligent. I'm glad we've got him. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been really, really impressed with him. I'm going to group Madueke and Gyökeres together quickly because for me, I think actually it's the kind of the same analysis for both, which is there have been moments where you go, oh, that's where maybe the doubts were from some people. But then there's been moments of real final third quality, which is exactly what we've added them for. And we've added them to give us something different. That Gyökeres header. I'd love your take on this. Some people have said that actually Kai Havertz could have scored that kind of goal. I kind of disagree. I think Kai Havertz is really good at getting into space and getting on the end of something. But I think Gyökeres had a lot of work to do with that header, personally. I think there was a real kind of... There's a brute force about it. There was because I keep saying it's a good cross from Zubimendi, but there's still a lot of work for Victor to do. And I think that, along with the runs he was making behind against Bilbao, the way he's been running the channels, I really like that. He is a bit of a force of nature. And I think he's probably better technically than people give him credit for. But there's also definitely something lacking there that might be frustrating at times. I look at Madueke and I think he looks like he could really do something on that left-hand side in terms of even when he's driving on the inside and actually cause a little bit of chaos. But actually, when you receive the ball, whipped the ball into the box to Gyökeres, it was brilliantly delivered and Gyökeres hit the post. With both of them, I think we're seeing glimpses of what they can give already that we don't have in the squad. And I really hope Arteta plays to those strengths because I don't want them turned into what we already have. You know, we've got players that do Havertz dropping in, Martinelli and Saka facing up fullbacks. They are playing their positions a bit differently, and I hope Arteta allows them to keep doing that. And I think we've seen... I mean, I was doing ratings I did ratings for Kepa, I didn't do for all the others. But, you know, I'd give them both a 7 out of 10 on what we've seen in such a short space of time.
Yeah. I think the Madueke ones is a little bit difficult because for me, on the rating, it depends on what else we do. Because if we don't... right now, if we didn't sign another winger, he becomes our winger signing. And then for me, I don't like it.
But how would you rate his pre-season though? Like, I know we've only seen like an hour in total, but
yeah,
you know, it's
no, I think he's been really positive. I would say 7 because we've not seen loads, but I think what we have seen, I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
And as an option on the left, I do really like what he offers. It's interesting because we have our left back a lot of the times is like inverts more. So he paired Madueke with Lewis Skelly. So he's inside and Madueke is outside. And he's a naturally quite associative player. Like he likes when there's players around and he'll quickly make combinations and 1-2s and stuff like that. So when you've got someone inside like Lewis Skelly who can make that run through the half space, and he'll want to drive inside as well, I can see them working quite nicely. And that's something we've not had. Like we've been going on for ages about how a left-hand side just doesn't have the right dynamics. So having players that do suit each other like that is really positive. And him being left-footed on the left side means he'll release the ball quicker. He can bring in early crosses. And a lot of the time, you remember that when we played Newcastle and Isaac scored a header against us, that goal there came from Gordon getting the ball quickly and quickly crossing it in. If you cross it before the defence is settled, the striker, if they've got good movement, they'll be free. They'll be in between the two centre-backs. It's quite basic movement. Get in between the centre-backs. You've got space to head the ball and then you score like that. And Madueke offers that, which we don't have. Everyone else wants to cut inside, and that extra cut inside gives them time to settle and to get closer to the striker. So that will help us with headers, the striker getting more free headers. The thing I would say about the one Gyökeres scored is, to me, it's kind of, if you get the pace on the cross right, to generate the power and the head is easier, obviously. And it reminded me actually of similar in some ways to the Havertz one against PSG when we played them in the group.
Right.
We've done a rumour coming out. I actually think that was kind of similar in some ways.
Okay.
But at the same time, there were some people that were like, oh, see, Gyökeres is good in the air. And I'm like, it was an uncontested header against a team that aren't necessarily the most physical anyways. So even if it was contested, I'm not trying to discredit it, but at the same time, just giving it a bit more context. I'm like, if you want to assess it based on one header, which you should never do if it was good or bad, then we'll have to wait and see how he does against when you're playing, let's say, Everton, and they've got Branthwaite, Tarkowski, and O'Brien, who are like 6'3" to 6'6" or whatever. So yeah, but like I said, as an option, he offers something that we don't have at all, and that constant drive to make the runs in behind was like really dangerous. And there was a little moment with Saka as well, where when Saka scored, when he laid the ball off, that was really nice. Like first time like that. And I think because he's busy, wants to like run in behind, and he's got that like relentlessness to him. He'll help us play a lot quicker in that way as well. Where you see, it's not like I don't in terms of his link up, like his passing and his the technical side. I don't think he's like on the same. He's not on the same level as someone like an Isak or Ekitike that Liverpool got. But on the other side is that because he'll do it quickly, if he gets ahead of them first and he'll quickly lay it off and then he'll make a run, that can help in a lot of ways as well, which is quite nice. They're both, like you said, the main thing, they're offering something different, and that's the exciting thing, because I don't know about you, but like at the end of the day, you're still a football fan. You watch Arsenal, and sometimes you're just bored of seeing the same stuff, and you want someone who's going to do something new. And we've got two there who do it. I just want a couple more. We need a couple more. I feel like, but let's see.
I completely agree, and that's why, going back full circle to the start of the pod, Eze is something different, either on the left and in the 10. So, especially when we've just seen Rice and Zubimendi look quite good as a partnership, as much more of a double pivot, you think, well, there's even more room for Eze then, so let's do it. But we will see. We'll keep an eye. There's no major updates as we've been recording. We've also given everything at the start. For the sake of just completing the ratings, I'd say Kepa, Norgard, Madueke, Gyökeres, I give them all a 7. I genuinely have liked what I've seen from all of them. I'd give Mosquera an 8, and I'd give Zubimendi a 9. I think that's how they've impressed me. What would you do?
I might even give Mosquera a 9, as
Yeah.
I think when you think of the role that they'll have in the team,
and
I'm tempted to then say Zubimendi 10, but 10 just sounds a bit mad.
I know what you mean,
because I think he's like signing of the season type level, where he could like change our. And a lot of people thought he would. Like, people were saying at one point, is he going to be an upgrade on what we had? And a lot of people weren't sure, but I think we're seeing it now. And then Mosquera, for me, I'm like, we've needed a backup for Saliba for so long, and it's not been addressed for ages. And you think last season, as soon as Gabriel got injured, we struggled. There was a drop-off in our form. When anytime Saliba there's been a drop-off. Now you've got a guy who can come in that was like, he doesn't look miles behind them. He looks like at the top level. So, I'd say 9 for him. I'll say Zubimendi 10. Go on, I'll do it.
Was it? I think it was our Transfers Explained where we did a breakdown on Zubimendi. I think my what's it called? Controversial opinion, or what's it called? When everyone's got like an interesting take at the start of the year. I think mine was that Zubimendi would be, I can't remember if I said Premier League Team of the Year or our Player of the Year, something like that. Anyway, I think he's gonna like get to that kind of level of. I think people will be noticing.
I've seen rival fans praising him, which is always a good sign. Like because even if all the banter aside, they're like, this guy looks like a serious signing. That's always a good sign in terms of you're not overhyping them. Actually, no, they are good.
You know what? I'll say it. Premier League Team of the Year. And I say it because I'm going to say it because Rodri still has injuries and he's making his way back. I don't think Liverpool have a recognised six, though Gravenberch did very well. Rice isn't going to play there. Caicedo is brilliant, but I think Arsenal will be better, and I think Zubimendi will be a bit better. But I think Caicedo is great. So, unless there's anyone else I've missed, I think Zubimendi might nick that spot. But let's see. Just very quickly, the left-back situation, your theory that we were chatting about off air, if Zinni goes, you think we'll bring in another left-footed defender?
Is partly it's partly hope rather
Sure.
than I think we actually will, because we've not really been linked to anyone. Not that I can think of, not of recent, anyways. It's all been about the attackers. But when you think of like, I just think when you look at that as our depth on the left side of defence, you've got Gabriel and Kibior, and then Caliver is a third. But if we put one per position and not move people around, Gabriel and Kibior on the left centre back, and then Lewis Skelly and Calafiori at left back, I think you've got a lot of pressure there on Lewis Skelly, because if Calafiori struggles with injuries again, which is a possibility, or if he ends up being rushed back from an injury, then he might, that puts a lot on Lewis Skelly, and he shouldn't
Yeah,
be
it does.
playing every single minute for 2 seasons straight in
I
his
agree.
first 2 seasons. So it's more about just signing someone so you're like full proof, like your bulletproof defense type of thing. And I'm tempted to say, if we couldn't sell Zinchenko, if we couldn't buy a left back, just don't sell Zinchenko, because he could
Yeah, I
just stay.
agree.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to put ourselves in a worse position. But I think it's time for him to go. The best time for him to go and get his wages off the books, and then get a proper overlapping left back. Because I think that would help us massively in some games. Who that will be, I'm not sure. I've got some that I like, but yeah, let's see.
That's sort of where I am with it. I don't mind Calafiori as a backup to Gabriel at left centre back,
Yeah,
because because he's been quite injury prone, so he's not going to play as many minutes. So you'd think we should be able to manage his minutes quite well. And we've got so many players in cover at centre back. But I do mind him, like you said, as a backup to Lewis Skelly, who's 18, and already we're depending on him a little bit too much. And because Calafiori is such a unique profile at left back anyway, I think he looked really good against Bilbao. If we said, I've literally just plucked this name out of nowhere, right? But if we let Kivior and Zinchenko go, and we signed Anthony Robinson, and we said, right, we're going to get Robinson as like a flying left back, and we've got Lewis Skelly at left back, and then Calafiori is a backup to Gabriel, knowing we've also got Saliba, Mosquera, White, Timber, who can all play there. Declan Rice can play centre-back. I would think for 4 or 5 months, my word, that should do it. And if
yeah,
Calafiori really is improving fit, then you go get someone else. But it's a very small thing. But yeah, it's like if we let Zinchenko go and Calafiori's only left backup, and we keep Kivior, I'd still feel like we're light. I know it sounds really strange, but it
yeah,
is kind of quite dependent on who they're playing back up to. I know Gabriel's had, knee surgery, hamstring surgery only back in April, but he does prove his fitness, touch wood, and he's made it back already, and he got the start against Bilbao. Like, I'm feeling quite confident that Gabby will still play a lot of minutes, but with Lewis Skelly, there'll be a temptation to rotate him with Calafiori, and I worry about Cala's injury. So that's what I'd do. If Kivior goes, if Kivior and Zinchenko go, get me a left back, and I'm happy with it. But if it's a case of Zinchenko, I don't know. Yeah,
if both go, it's a must. Like 100%. You can't rely
yeah, you
on
need to sign someone.
that,
Yeah,
and you need like a proper one that who long term would be good,
mm,
like a 20 to 40 mil type signing.
yeah,
There's a guy at Frankfurt, Nathaniel Brown, who looks really interesting. Is someone who he used to be like just a flying wing back, and then since he's been there, he's played wing back, but he's also played in midfield, so he could do a bit of the inverting, or could be the
okay,
overlapping option. A little bit younger, I think 22,
nice.
but he's like looks really talented, like good jeweler, good dual stats. In the final third, someone who like inverts really well in the final third as an
Yeah,
option to get off shots as well. Another one is an interesting one. Harry Amas at Man United. He played
yeah,
against us in pre-season.
look very good.
Yeah, and it's something I just felt like just test the waters at maybe, because they signed Diego Leon, who we
Hmm.
were linked with before, and they've already got Dorgu, so he's not really going to play much there.
And
Um,
Shaw and Heaven and
and
Martinez, who are
of
all left
course,
centre backs.
I didn't even I didn't even think about them. Um, Forgot Shaw even exists, to be honest. But yeah, and when you look at that, and like, well, I don't know. they got him from Watford, and we
Yeah.
wanted him from Watford way back then when they
Okay.
got him. So I'm like, well, if he's a long term player that we're interested in, maybe he'd be willing to join a team when we still need that player. But yeah, similar ball carrying, overlapping,
Mhm.
inverting the final third, and is someone who's younger, so he's not going to demand to start, but he can compete with Lewis Skelly or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you're going for a Premier League proven option, who's just going to be secure, safe, good defensively, good going forward, good crossing, like Robinson's a bit of a no-brainer for me. Like if he's 20 mil and you get rid of Zinchenko for 10 mil, like that makes sense. And also the wages will be way lower than Zinchenko as well. So
And
yeah,
it would explain Eze even more. Again,
yeah,
I'll say it. You get a Robinson type, then you play games with Timber, Saliba, Gabriel's your kind of three sitting back. You got Zubimendi and Rice and build up. You got Eze and Erdegaard in the tens. You got Robinson and Saka wide. You got Gyökeres up front. Like that's a great balance. That's got a little bit of everything. You can get Madueke on and change the dynamics at times. You can do so many things. So we just want Arsenal to have options and versatility in their tactics.
yeah. And also as well, if you have someone like that, it kind of brings the option of Lewis Skelly playing in the double pivot.
Yeah.
The exciting thing, I think a lot of our players are suited to a double pivot, and we saw it against Bilbao. I'm like, a player club, and if we can play that more often, Lewis Skelly in midfield next to Zubimendi or next to Rice, like that would be exciting to see as well. So
Mm.
yeah, I would like to see the left back, but obviously attacker is like the priority.
Yeah, it's
We
true.
need that first and foremost.
So it could be one or two more signings in for Arteta and Arsenal. I think if I had to sum up pre-season in a line, I'd say underwhelming from the team's perspective, but very encouraging from the signings perspective and the new players, and I include Dalman in that as well. So I do think the quality is thereabouts. I think we're one or two away from
Yeah,
thinking I don't really know what more this team could possibly need. But we're reacting to a market where Siemens, Eze, Savino, Rodrigo, sort of loose Vinicius links, Isak could all be moving. Like
yeah,
these players could all be moving, and Arsenal,
yeah,
you need to be ready to do something. You absolutely have to be. Trossard continues to be linked to the move away. Zinchenko might well go. Kivior, we don't know. Gunnerblog said that he's open to a move for first team football. Arsenal won't do it unless it's for the right price. So we're just going to see. But the 12th of August has kind of crept up on us. And I remember doing this podcast with you, Ben, and we were saying, why is everyone panicking? Like, we're not even going on pre-season yet. But that's come and gone super quickly. We're now at the point of we have 2 weeks left of the window. Good work so far, Arsenal. Fair enough. Get the job done, please.
yeah.
I'll get one final prediction from you. How many more signings and what positions do you think Arsenal will do? Do you genuinely think we'll do?
If so, a want would be that we get rid of Trossard, Zinchenko, Sambi, and Carl Hein. That people's like we're forgetting that they're still there. Nelson. Am I missing anyone? I think Vieira. So if we got rid of all of those, that I think that would free up enough funds to get an Eze, a proper left winger, because Eze for me is not a left winger, but if you play the right left back, he can work there, and then the left back. But one of those, you have to have a compromise somewhere. One of those would be cheaper. But yeah, that would be a want. But if I'm being more realistic, I think probably what will happen is you go for one option on the left, whether that's an Eze or a winger, and then a left back. I know what we're like with defensive signers. We probably prioritise that over an attacker. So I would say that. I don't know who it will be. I don't know if we'll take too long with the Eze thing. I hope not, because I think a lot of fans. It's the one sign, I don't know about you, but every single fan seemed to be like on board with it if we got him. And that doesn't happen often. So
No.
I would like to see it, but let's see. But I think two, and then all of those guys leaving. I think we might end up just settling for a loan or two with some
Yeah.
of them. Maybe Carl Hein goes out on loan again or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My prediction is, my cynical prediction is Kvyat Zinchenko go. We bring in a left back and that's it.
Oh
But
gosh.
my
Can you imagine?
my more hopeful one is actually one of Kvyat Zinchenko stay, and we end up doing an Eze or a Rodgers or something like that. There's always a name that pops up with like a week left to the window, and you go, "Oh, that I didn't realize." There's always something
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
pops up out of nowhere. They go, "Right, okay, I wasn't expecting that." Doesn't always get done. It was Pedro Neto like 3-4 years ago. That didn't happen, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see how we look on Sunday against Man United, and there will be content here on the Goonerverse. So just a reminder to everyone, the Goonerverse is the place for collabs, analysis, in depth, guys. It's where we're going to sort of cover Arsenal in real depth. Goonerverse News is instant reaction, where I can just react to everything that's doing the rounds on socials. News, team news, press conference reaction, match reports, all that. If I've got anything to react to that just kind of needs, 10 minutes of words put to it, then that will all be on Goonerverse News, which I think at the time of this coming out would have been rebranded. So look out for that. Also, some slightly sad news. This might well be our last transfers explained, because I'm sure you will hear about it, but there are things happening for Ben, for I, and it's not always possible to do this podcast. We said it was going to be a summer thing. We've had a blast with it. If we sign Eze or we do other business, I'm sure we'll try find half an hour to do a breakdown on that player. So there may be 1 or 2 more transfers explained. But through the summer, this has been the best way to discuss everything that's been happening in the transfer window. And Ben, your expertise has been like phenomenal. Lots of love in the comments for you. Really deserved. I know you're on to big things and you deserve all that. But a big thank you for just the time that you've given to this podcast generally, and for your insight and for helping me have a much better understanding of these players, and I'm sure other people too. And yeah, summer's not an easy time to commit to things, and especially I've been all over the place, being here, there, everywhere. So I appreciate you working around me, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun, mate. So thank you.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. It's been fun to be a part of like a lot of people have always just been watching the videos anyway, so it's cool to be a part of, and like a lot of people I like with this channel, you get different people on there, and there's always kind of making sense of all the noise and just kind of breaking it down. So it was definitely cool to discuss a lot of these players and stuff, and appreciate you having me on. But yeah, let's see what happens.
You've been brilliant. Let's see. Hopefully there's a couple more signings. We can squeeze a couple more episodes out. But mate, it's been brilliant having you. All right, everyone. That sort of concludes pre-season. Those are our thoughts on the players, the signings in pre-season, and a little bit on Eze, the left-back situation. Arsenal's window isn't quite done yet. At least that's how we view it. Let's hope the club don't view it any differently. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, if you've enjoyed the series, if you want breakdowns on the other players, they're still out there. Everything is still there to be watched. It's all pretty evergreen, the breakdowns on the players. And yeah, go subscribe to the Goonerverse News, where I'll be keeping up to date with everything as and when it happens. There's already an Eze video out there. So yeah, I can't say I was too happy at 8 a.m. recording that. Anyway, big thanks, Ben. Big thanks to everyone. Really appreciate it. Love to Max as well, who's been editing the podcast and doing all the work in the background. And we'll see you very soon.